have recorded like some videos recently and didn't post them because it was like I'm very critical. What's the way I'm gonna say it? Like I'm a big critic when it comes to myself, but it's like I like things to look a certain way, be a certain way, and if I see like certain imperfections, especially like while I'm recording, I'm like, why didn't I catch that while I was doing? Like I had one video I did, it was really good because it was off like the spring of just doing it, and I had like put something on my lips. I think it was like caramel, but I may have mixed it with something else. And child, I had the white line going. I said, I am not uploading this just for the sake of a video this week. Like, no. So, welcome back to my channel. If you're looking from YouTube, you're tuning in from Apple Podcasts, welcome back to Fix. Can we get a little clap going? Oh man. Thank you. So today I thought we would get into a long-awaited topic, which was talking about learning and loving every bit of who you are. I felt like this was a good topic to get into. So I wrote these notes a little while ago, but today I wanted to get into it, especially since I gave you guys the retwist. I said I was not getting back on camera with my hair not retwisted, period. I'm sorry, I have a whole look with this whole lock situation. Like, not at that point yet, because we ain't even that long yet, but y'all see the hang time. Y'all see it. So I will of course be using examples from my life experiences as well as others, just so you can know first and foremost that you're not alone. This is not a, vague or unfamiliar topic to many. It's just something that is not really honestly discussed. So I just find enjoyment in just giving experience, information. You do as what you please, because we all come from different backgrounds and lifestyles, and we're all at different places in our life on a mature level. So everybody's going to respond to different things that they see and hear differently, no matter what it is or how serious it is. So just know that nothing is impossible. If it couldn't be done, it wouldn't have been done for anybody. So just keep that in mind as we just kind of roll through this video. Why I think it's important though, self-identity as an adult is very, very important. And I don't think we realize like how many people stand in adulthood not realizing who they are, not really having a true sense of self-identity. That could be for so many different reasons. A lot of times people come up with parents who, make them codependent upon them, if I'm saying that correctly, meaning that they don't really know how to spread their own wings and maneuver like an adult, because for so many years they've been, groomed to rely strictly on their parent. A lot of times we see that with certain parents who, may not have good boundaries when it comes to, their child, especially like more of a son, because sometimes you see that more often where a mom and a son, sometimes the boundaries is like not in the, leveled out appropriately, because a mom could overstep, or she could become codependent on her child, whether that's her daughter or son, whatever the case may be. So it does allow them to kind of find it difficult to really develop their own life and do what they want to do, and and become an adult and just function as such, for real. So first I want to start with talking about backgrounds, right? Upbringings, backgrounds, all kinds of things. We don't always acknowledge it. Actually, a lot of us don't acknowledge it at all, for real. How much our upbringing and the ways that we were groomed as a child plays a huge role in our adulthood. And a lot of times we may not see it. Like I said, our adulthood is the longest phase of our life. So because certain areas of our life, whether it's being a toddler, being a preteen, being a teenager, those are different areas in which have a shorter time span, right? So a lot of people might not take serious the different experiences, traumas, or whatever the case may be that you've taken on that have a long-term effect on you. This is hard, especially if you had parents who weren't even aware of themselves. We have to do the work to, navigate through those uncomfortable situations. No one said it's going to be easy, but it's going to pay off greatly in the long run. See, I'm checking myself today. And this is why, like, when people deal with forgiveness and acceptance in adulthood, you may hear people talk about all the time, oh, well, my mom did this, I came from this, I experienced this, and, I didn't really have much support with this, and so forth and so on. A lot of people don't understand that concept of forgiveness when they say, like, it's literally for you. We can go throughout our adulthood having this sense of entitlement, like we can make all these errors and make all these mistakes and just kind of like create, unfortunately, like a rough life for ourselves and blame it on whomever, right? They can do so many self-destructive things and say, oh, well, my father was in jail and I just, followed suit. Oh, my mom was like this. So we can't go through life sitting up here trying to carry those excuses, because honestly, it's counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? It's counterproductive. It's so easy to just blame something on somebody else or say these things to us ourselves. Like I said, lies to make us go to sleep at night. That's what that is. To more so ease our responsibility as far as fixing the things that we need to fix. Because we can just simply go back, blame it on a certain life experience that we had, carry it into adulthood, use this as an excuse to treat people the way that we do, and as well as blame people for where we are in our life. And the reality is, nobody's coming to save you. In adulthood, nobody's coming to save you. It's all about self-improvement. I have to agree to disagree when it comes to just the way that we live our lives, who do we blame for it, and where we want to be. That's always going to be a conversation that everybody's going to look at different, period, no matter who it is. But like I said, you acknowledging, you learning true forgiveness in order to move past those things. Nobody said that that's your way of approving them. Like I said, we're in adulthood right now. We're accepting the things that we cannot control simply, and doing and practicing the best methods in order to gain happiness. That is it. That is all. In our adulthood, we may find a lot of, individuals who are toxic or maybe miserable. And like I always say, you really got to be careful of even friendships and stuff like that. Like the good old saying goes, show me your friends and I'll show you who you are. Our friends and who we spend time with on a daily basis does play a huge role in who we are as individuals, especially in adulthood. You may find yourself to, have children, so you may be in the groups of different moms and parenting. You may, whatever that may be. I'm always going to use mom because I am one. So, but it's so important for you to even know who you're hanging out with. And like I said, you having a sense of where direction you're going into and what you want to do with your life is the best way. Why? Because you're not going to just be needlessly having conversations or people around you that are not helping you get to the direction in which you're trying to get to. We really do live in a world, like, it's as fragile as a lot of people don't accept it to be. It is. So we can't go through life thinking that we can do certain things and go about certain ways and it not have a lasting impact. Especially if you aren't an adult, let me tell you, you do not have to learn the hard way. There are thousands, millions of examples of individuals who honestly will rightfully tell you, what you can learn from them. But then a lot of times you just look at their life, and even when it comes to like taking advice, I always say, look at the person's life, and if you want to trade places with them, then take it. Not to say obviously you're going to end up in the same place, but a lot of times people give advice from a place in which they can't even take their own, hypocritical, really. So you don't want to be, even associate yourself too well with that. Like I said, if you wouldn't trade places with the person, if you, wouldn't want to be viewed as that person is, then why take advice from them? Versus if you do like how this person is respected, if other people can attest to how this person acts and is real and is thorough and it has your back, ride or die, that is somebody that, yeah, of course you want to take advice from or look to and understand certain ways that they even maneuver, so that way you can kind of be like, I like that, I might apply that, or I'm gonna use that, or whatever the case may be. Why is this car outside of my... And rather their lack of positivity is intentional, non-intentional, whatever the case may be, we have to still acknowledge the effects that those individuals have. At the end of the day, whether it's relationships, friendships, and so forth and so on, the reality is we are supposed to be around individuals that build us up, that make us become a better person, right? And that in which when they're down, we can pour onto them, So a lot of times when, like I said, that lack of direction, not knowing self, whatever the case may be, can sometimes paralyze somebody. They can easily envy. I don't know, I'm not getting into another topic, but just being sure. They can easily envy others around them, because they have their life together, or so they think. Nobody really has their life fully together, but from what they think, right? All it takes is just sitting back and doing the work that we need to do on ourselves. No other excuse. Like you just said, especially being in the room, all you can do is pray for them. You know what I'm saying? And hope that they change that mentality, because that's really a paralyzing mental, and you don't really have the energy to be around people that are in a paralyzed state emotionally or mentally. Nobody's saying when your good friend falls on hard times, you being there to pull them up. Absolutely. But we're talking about lifelong individuals who have literally been doing the same things, being in the same toxic ways for the same long length of time, that has shown nothing to themselves or others that they are planning on changing at any time soon. That is the individuals that I'm talking about. So let's touch a little bit about where the whole loving part comes in, right? Because like I said, a lot of people want to choose to go on self-love journeys and all this kind of stuff at the worst time, which is when they get their heart broken, they're experiencing some type of pain, or whatever the case may be. Fine. But in my best case, and what I can say from my personal experience, I did the best self-loving, self-getting to know, whatever you want to call it, when I was single, and during a stage in my life when I was literally 16, 17. I remember it so vividly because it was during a rough time. Like I said, I was experiencing a lot of things within my household. My faith was really important. Perception is, not always reality, because some people can literally think, just because they see certain things a certain way on the outside, that it's the same way on the inside. And I'm one to tell you, no, it's not. And one of the things that that really had brought me peace was saying, like, we're adults, right? And acknowledging the reality of the experiences that I went through that has impacted me as an adult. That's all and that's something that you can say. So just understanding that, like, you have to come to a sense of peace for yourself. We can't keep obviously dwelling on the past, but the past made you who you are today. You can heal, you can get therapy, you can do all the things that you need to do, but at the end of the day, it's going to still take effort, and what you do afterwards is going to play a major part on it. I brought that up because I felt like a lot of times we hate ourselves, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to the negative experiences that we dealt with. I know I did for a while, but like I said, sometimes you just having faith and having your own relationship with God is the only comfort that comes with that, because He sees all things. We can fool people, but we can't fool Him, So for me, that was one thing I did when I was very young, surprisingly. If you've had any experiences, especially, like I said, ones that you really hate about yourself, you may haven't had the best direction, and you've made poor choices. You may have gotten pregnant young. You may have got caught up with the wrong group of boys, which could have led to you getting into humiliating situations, sexual experiences that you wish you didn't encounter, whatever the case may be. You have to literally write it out exactly for what it is. If that's anything, that's probably a good suggestion I have. Get a notepad, right? And write down on your notepad everything that has happened to you that you feel like has an impact on you in your adulthood, right? You write it out, you write it out, you write it out, you write it out. And what you're going to find is that these are going to be all the things in which you have to accept and forgive in order to move forward. That is it. That is all. So that may be good for you, because sometimes even when it comes to saying it out loud to other people, rather that's our, friends, rather that's our family members, whomever may be a support, sometimes we are just too ashamed to say it. Write it down. A lot of people, everybody's not for therapy. But my thing is, if you're not for therapy, that does not mean that you still can just go around with this pain and hurt and whatever and just push it off on other people. That's not right. So we're still all required to do our work and become adults at the end of the day. No one can use you against you. A lot of times, even when it comes to people, when they're saying certain things about our character or whatever the case may be, we get so in our bag, which is rightfully so, because if anybody's going to defend us, it's going to be ourselves, right? But sometimes it's so easy to get bent out of shape about things that are not even true. So, or even if they are true, they may have been a part of our past, right? So what I would say, like I said, we've written down everything, we've accepted it for what it is, and so forth and so on. You have to love that person that you hated at one point. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing I can tell you, I know phases that I was in my life and where I am now versus where I was before, right? So granted, people are always going to hold you in a box, right? Or in this perception in which they want to keep you, because they can't see past that. The fact that, especially, once again, dealing with people who don't know themselves or lack a sense of direction, it can even be our parents, right? So if they're holding you in this form, or in this vision in which they see you only because they can't accept where you are or how you've blossomed, it happens time and time again, then it can be harder for us to really feel like we can become a new person, you know what I'm saying, or do something different. We can. Like I said, it's just a matter of knowing who you are. And like I said, when you fall in love, you have to fall in love. Like, I know of different phases in my life that I love myself. I'm like, oh, that girl, she needed love. That's all she needed was love. Oh, she just needed protection. Oh, she just needed a little direction, because she would have never got into that if she knew what this was going to be the outcome of. You got to give yourself grace. You know what I'm saying? I love that word. I usually talk about it when I'm talking about being a mom and pregnancy, but you got to give yourself grace, because who else is? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, a lot of times people want to hold you in that box. You got to break out. And then giving yourself not only grace, but then compassion. That's something that we just don't have these days at all. It's just not there. I don't care what nobody says. Because compassion really just allows you to feel the empathy for certain things. And you want to feel the empathy, the sympathy, whatever, for the things that, one, you didn't know, but for that person before. You know what I'm saying? And you gained an experience. Like I said, when we have parents that don't show us, guide us, and direct us in the way that they should, we unfortunately just learn things the hard way, right? So granted, we've gained wisdom and everything, so you're not going to move the same way you did before. That makes no sense whatsoever. So, once again, if you're loving and accepting that person, like, that's just the only thing that you can do. Seriously, like, the only thing that you can do. Because even when somebody tries to put you against you, you're like, oh girl, I sure did. Like, it kind of becomes a joking matter, honestly. Like, or even if it's not even a joking matter, like, I know certain things in my life that I've done that I'm not proud of, but it's like, oh, I felt for that girl. I know why she did that. I know why my, inexperienced self put herself through certain experience. I love her though. I love her because she didn't know better. You know what I'm saying? So even when certain people could bring up certain things, it's like, oh, but I loved her though, but she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know. So even for you to bring up that old person, you don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? Because you would know how far off that girl has died. You know, so it's just, you want to get so in tune with it that you kind of become a little sarcastic with it in a sense. But that's where you kill people with kindness, because people are miserable. And they don't really, they hold themselves in a cage for where they are and can't prosper past. You think they about to give you any consideration or pass? They're not. So that's very important, just why you just got to know you and not let anybody speak against you. And even if they are, some people, like I said, you got to let them go to the side, because you just got to let them go. It's no way to deal with that. I'm trying to see if I had. But then on top of accepting the ugly, you want to embrace the good, okay? Like I said, especially if you know people hold you, because I always say, when you've made the greatest bounce backs, right? When you got to some situations, woo, I know I do, and you've excelled past it, it'll bring tears to your eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want you to bring up the old person. You know what I'm saying? Because my reaction is probably going to be one that you don't even, wouldn't even anticipate. You know what I'm saying? It's just a beautiful thing. You want to look at your life while you're going through adulthood, because that's the longest form, like I said. You want to look at it like a timeline. I know I do. A timeline, and you want to see one thing for sure and two things for certain: progression. Because even if you did make mistakes, or some things that you didn't like about your life was done before, guess what? That progression and that constantly just improving over that time frame, it's going to give you so much happiness to actually fall in love with the fact that you didn't know everything at one point. Fall in love with the fact that, you didn't have certain resources. But you have that compassion, you have that empathy. And then you're not speaking to somebody that does and can reciprocate that back to you, because why would they be bringing up anything negative that they don't see in front of them today? That's toxicity, that's misery, that's so many things that you don't even need to exist around. But if you do find yourself, like I said, just kill it with kindness. But you just know that that's somebody you don't need to be around at all. Because they're going to be the one to be preying on your downfall. And they're going to be the one in your circle that are side-eyeing you, waiting for you to fail at something. And that is bad energy that you do not need around you. So always think of it. Like as much peaceful as I may sound saying it, I want you to have that same thing. You know what I'm saying? It should bring tears to your eyes with joy of the things that you went through. You know what I'm saying? Because you know that you're far from it, but you understood the why. You know what I'm saying? Got to understand, it's a beautiful thing. I really can't even really put it even in these notes for you to really grasp what I'm saying. But I really hope that it's getting understood. Where anybody, like, it's going to take work. A lot of times in this world, we want instant gratification for the things that make us happy. That's why when sometimes you get your insecurities show so easily when you're scrolling on social media, or somebody and they may be doing or going about life in a way that you do like or resemble or want to, exemplify. And instead of you just looking at what they're doing or getting advice or something like that, is this instant envy, and you can't really be like that, because where is the growth? Like, I don't hear people talk about role models in the sense of everyday people. Being a teenager, I knew what I wasn't getting from home, So I knew what I did look for when I went out in the world, friends and stuff like that. It's easy to distance yourself away from things that are different. Like, it can become an envious thing. I've seen it where instead of being like, you went through certain things with your household, so instead of trying to find better and pursuing better, you kind of revert to a negative path, which is envy and hate, jealousy, all those type of things. And for me, the way I always kind of like view my life was, like I say, nothing that I go through will ever, determine my future. You know what I'm saying? And I knew what circumstances I came from. And I knew, me being a grown person today, if I wanted to see certain results, I would have to let go, move past, accept for what it was, and get on, you know. And I felt like, even though I was at a point of really letting go of things, I still didn't change the way I dealt with those people who established the hurt. So that just comes with boundaries and therapy and acceptance. Just like it's different severities for everybody, because we all come from different walks of life. I know social media likes to compartmentalize so many things as if it's so cookie cutter to just figure out, and it's not. That's why people are having so many issues in adulthood with dating. Because a lot of times you're dating your inner child. You're dating your demons. You know what I'm saying? You're dating your trauma. You're dating your mom. You're dating your dad or your first love who never even showed you the correct love. Like, you got to identify what it is for you, you know, or you'll never really get to the root of the problem. And I just feel like you want that peace. I see sometimes even just my heart goes out, because it's just like, all you really just need is somebody just to tell you how it is raw, you know. So that was kind of like even one of the motivating factors to even making this video. It's like, especially if you don't know me, I'm letting you know, like, somebody's here, somebody's understanding of what you're going through. But even for those decisions that may not be our best, as long as we grasp the lesson, we can still end up making it a blessing in the end, period, no matter what it even is, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that was probably just going to be the gist of it, because I feel like my notes are out. You know, so I just kind of just wanted to just elaborate on that for a second, because like I said, we're going to get more into it on this channel for sure. I'm improving every day. Like, a journey does not have a destination. That's why I said, really, if you aren't going through anything, this is really the time. I really hope that this video helped you. Like I said, if you're watching from YouTube, you're getting the virtual or visual podcast, which I try to do more often, because I do have a lot of podcast episodes that do not have a visual all the time. I'm a mother, you know, so it's hard to even just get constantly get content out, especially these days, because he be on my hip and he do not know how to be quiet, so it don't always be working. But I gotta bring Zakai back on here, because my son is about to be born next month, and I'm just not even ready, you know, myself. But it's a story for another day. So I really am glad that we were able to sit down this morning. I hope this video did help you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, you know, I guess you can add me on Apple Podcasts, you know, or favorites me. Follow me on my social media, beauty.n.dub.bellissimo on YouTube. I'm sorry. Well, it is on YouTube, but it's just Beauty in the Bellissimo on YouTube. But on my platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you may find me, follow me. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep the conversations going. Drop some comments down below. I'm also taking suggestions as to what you would want to hear more of. You know, my little audience that I do have, because I just checked the other day, I had 5 subscribers. What, bro? Like, I remember when I had 0, you know, so 5 is really good. So it's just like, I have 5 people to entertain. Like, I always look at it with my like content girl, because I'm not here for just no followers, likes and stuff. That's why Instagram is not really fun to me, because people literally like kill for Instagram content, and it's like, bruh, at the end of the day, the longevity is what you should be going after. But I remember when I heard this post, it's like, yo, if 13 people walked in this room right now, I would be overwhelmed. So that's how I look at it, like, oh, 5 subscribers, bro. If I have 5 people in this living room right now, I would be like, whoa. So I'm appreciative of every little ounce of it, because I always went to YouTube. Obviously, I got the receipts from doing it before, so that's why I just get a thrill out of it. Content creating, I am my own producer, editor, everything, so it can be very frustrating. So I do put a lot of energy and time into my work, period. So I thank you so much for tuning into this video, into my platform, supporting me. Really do appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. And as always, without any further ado, I'll see you in the next one.